In the beginning, we'll recall what you know already from your session in the first semester. You may remember that we spoke that information in our world is generated for different reasons. For example, newspaper articles are written in order to report on events, or conference papers and academic journal articles are written to report on the outcomes of academic research. Or market data is collected and analyzed in order to understand economic events and processes. For each kind of information, there are their own publications. If we're interested in news reporting, we will go to a newspaper or news website, for example, The Guardian or BBC News. If we're interested in financial news, we may go to the Financial Times. If we want to understand a completely new topic, we will probably benefit from using textbooks. If we want to investigate certain topics in depth, we will probably be using academic journal articles. Finally, if we are researching companies, industries and products, how they perform and what are their prospects, we will be looking for statistics and market data, usually in specialist databases and similar sources. In your first semester, you have been using all this kind of information. You have discovered that newspaper and news websites are not good for in-depth academic research, nor they explain useful to you theories. Still, they can be very useful to find examples of how those theories work in our days in various contexts. You have been using various tools and resources to find and get access to that information. You probably have used Google Scholar and the YouSearch to find academic journals and conference papers. You have used the library catalog to find textbooks and monographs. And you have used a number of market data sources, at which point you learned that there is no one search engine capable of searching for market data in the same manner as Google Scholar searches multiple sources of academic research. When you use Google and similar search engines, you found that when not using specialist resources, just a generic search, you have to make an informed decision whether those sources are relevant, reliable, whether they are of the sufficient depth and up-to-date. Before we move forward, let us have a look again at the resources the Ulster University provides its students and staff with. The Business and Management Subject Guide gives an idea of what various databases do and how to access them, if there is anything unusual about that. The library catalog is useful for textbooks and monographs. Just remember, as all library catalogs, this one can't search inside books. So if you are looking for a small topic, for example omnichannel retail, you may not find much in the catalog if you search for that phrase. Though there are plenty of textbooks discussing this topic in one or a few chapters. Think what these textbooks may be called and search for that word. For omnichannel retail, I would search for retail, e-commerce or similar. Often textbooks have a glossary, a dictionary explaining the meaning of words related to the topic the textbook deals with. This is a great source of vocabulary to search for and use in your works. There is one tool which can search inside many millions of printed books. It is Google Books. You won't see full text there for most of those books, only selected pages. But still it can help you to discover relevant textbooks and monographs, as well as references to other helpful publications. When you were looking for market data, information about companies, products, industries and markets, you were using some of specialist databases. IBIS Vault for industries in the UK, FAME for the UK company information, Passport and Statista for the international data. As we discussed before, there is no one tool capable of searching across all of these databases, so they have to be used one by one, depending on what exactly you are looking for. As you start working on your dissertation, a different kind of content will become even more important: academic research published in scholar journals and conference papers. The good news is that there are tools which can search across multiple academic research databases. One of them is the YouSearch. It searches across many university databases. It is particularly good for finding academic journal articles and conference papers, in other words, peer-reviewed research, a bit like Google Scholar. Academic databases don't like sentences, unlike Google, which doesn't mind them. Always think about search terms. A search term is one word or two, maybe even three, which only mean one thing. For example, marketing is a good search term. Relationship marketing is also a good search term. It means just one thing, a particular kind of marketing. Even corporate social responsibility, three words, are a good search term. They all together mean just one thing. Searching for long sentences consisting of several search terms usually brings no results. The U-Search, most academic research databases and Google Scholar understand phrase search. Taking something into speech marks is a command to search for the phrase exactly as you typed it. Also, searching for broader, narrower, alternative and related terms often helps to expand the range of useful results in academic databases. And another commonly used technique when searching in academic databases is truncation, when you use an asterisk to replace a number of characters. It doesn't work in Google Scholar though. Many of us make a mistake of starting to search without any preparation. As the result, we only search for the words in the assignment title or only the first phrase we can think of. Let us have a look what Mark Saunders in his popular textbook Research Methods for Business Students says. This is a diagram representing a process of literature review. In other words, looking for academic publications on a particular topic. According to Saunders, effective literature review starts with defining research questions and objectives. What is the reason for this or that? Is it true that? How does this work in a particular situation? Then, defining search parameters. For example, are you only interested in marketing in football? Can publications on marketing and sports in general be helpful too? Then generating search terms. It is what we were talking about earlier. Narrower, broader, related and alternative terms. And only then going to Google Scholar, the U-Search or any other search. I suggest having a piece of paper and pen when you do any kind of literature searching, to write down all the new relevant terms you come across in order to repeat the whole process again and again as you continue reading, thinking and writing. Glossaries and textbooks will also help you to find good search vocabulary. Academic databases often provide subject terms for articles. They are similar to keywords or hashtags we use on social media. They are a good source of search terms as well. So, before we jump to searching, whether with Google Scholar or the U-Search or a particular database, it is helpful to stop and think, what am I going to search for? Start thinking about what terminology related to the topic of your research you know. Is there anything particular you are looking for? A particular name, theory? If you are struggling with this vocabulary exercise, then a good start would be a textbook. Textbooks explain and they use good vocabulary. And as you are searching and reading and thinking and writing, you will see certain gaps in your story and new ideas to cover in your research. So you will be back to planning and searching again. This will be happening very naturally. The stages will overlap, but the process will be the same. First, decide what you're looking for. Then decide where is the right place to search. Assuming you're comfortable with all this, let us have a look at an interesting technique commonly used in literature review. It is often called citation chaining. You may have used it already too. For example, you came across an interesting idea in a textbook. Then you check the reference to see where this idea came from. Then you found that original source to develop your understanding of this idea. In this case, you were going back in time. The textbook was published in 2018. The original source of the idea you got interested in 2004. As you can see, the article I'm interested in is behind the paywall. I'll check whether the university has a subscription to this journal by going to the settings, library links, typing Ulster and selecting Ulster University and University of Ulster. Now Google Scholar shows me that I have access to the full text article with the university login. And again, if I come across an interesting idea or fact in this article, I'll check where they come from by going to the reference section. You can also use citation chaining to move from a source to source forward in time. In this example, Google Scholar tells us that it found 277 publications citing the article we searched for. Quite possible that some of those publications will be relevant to your topic of research. Google Scholar also shows you other related articles and gives an example of referencing this publication or importing the citation into RefWorks to build your bibliography automatically. If you want to start using RefWorks, check a subject guide on the library website. And you can start the article to save it in your favorites on Google Scholar. So there are two main ideas to take from this session. Go to the right places for the information you need. For example, for academic research, you may use Google Scholar or similar tools. But if you need trade publications or market data or statistics, Google Scholar and similar search engines won't be useful, so know your sources. And the second idea, pay attention to your vocabulary. Professionals and researchers often use specialist terminology. Using it for searching will improve your search results in most cases. The easiest place to build this vocabulary are relevant textbooks and the glossary sections. Other sources like journal articles will be helpful too.